In this short Mint tips and tricks video, we will show you how you can set up an optional slot group for your products using the dynamic slot group quantity work rule. An optional slot group is a slot group that was configured to be associated with other slot groups. Initially, it is empty and requires no resources to be assigned. But if the associated slot groups contain an insufficient number of resources, the optional slot group shows the warning sign, which means you can add needed resources manually or let the system find them automatically according to defined eligibility. For example, let us assume we need 2 trainees for the event, 1 captain trainee and 1 first officer trainee. If there is no captain assigned, then we need a seat support for the first officer. And if the first officer is missing, we have to find another first officer as a seat support for the captain. Our first step is to create a work rule under tree management. We'll create an abstract work rule, and let's name ours seat support. This rule tells the system what to do if there is only 1 trainee assigned to a training that requires 2. Next, let's create a new work rule configuration and select dynamic slot group quantity as our work rule type. We're going to relate this work rule to the trainee slot group, because this is the slot group we want the system to fill with seat support when we're down a trainee. Parameters is where you'll define the logic for the system to use. In our case, since we're only working with a max of 2 trainees, we don't want anyone in seat support if there are 0 or 2 trainees. If there is 1 trainee, however, we need 1 resource to fill in. Next, let's head over to the products page and set up a property. We're going to create a dynamic slot group quantity property, type work rule, and then right-click to give it the preference Use to define dynamic slots quantity. Be sure to activate it because this property allows you to connect the work rule we created to a slot group on the product. Go into the product and create a new slot group named Seat Support. Select our Seat Support rule under the property we just created. The static slot group quantity should now be read-only. For eligibility, we want our seat support to have the same qualifications as an instructor, so an instructor with availability could jump into the training as a spare trainee. Additionally, you can set up conditional eligibility if, for example, seat support replacing a missing captain requires different qualifications than replacing a first officer. Now that seat support is all set up, let's see it in action. We now have a scheduled project with a captain and a first officer. We'll remove our first officer from the training. You'll now see the warning sign over seat support, telling you this slot needs to be filled. Select the slot group and click the Complete Assignments button. The system will then automatically find an instructor with the proper qualifications and availability to fill in as seat support. This feature is available for Mint systems on version 12.1 and higher. To learn more about dynamic slot group quantities and to learn how to configure dynamic slot groups for seat support, please check your Mint Web Assistant manual